Hi everyone, it's Justine here from House of Mahalo. I hope you're all doing well. So I'm here to do an intro for a project that I'm going to be working on with you all, which will be starting now or later this week. Anyway, so it's an interesting project, and I'm just trying to figure out what to sort of talk about first. So basically it's a winter project, as you might have guessed, but there's two different sides to it, really. So I think I will I'll show you the idea first. That's what I will do. Okie dokie. So I want to make some altered file folders. I've got these two, well, I've got four of these actually. They're the A4 sized craft folders. And I've had these are leg warmers, which I've had, I've had these for about a decade. I think I wore them once when I was, in my early 20s, and I never wanted to get rid of them because they were this really, really nice Fair Isle print, which I love, and they were just such a nice, cozy, like jumper type material. And so I held on to them. And then when I discovered junk journals, I put them away into my fabric box with the idea that maybe one day I might do something with them. Well, the time has come. I know what I would like to do. So I had it in my head that I would have the cover of my altered file folders be using the leg warmers. So what I did was I cut one open just along the side of the leg warmers to see if it would even fit. And I'll just show you, height-wise, it's pretty much spot on, like the exact height that I need, which is awesome. And then in terms of width, I still have, a bit to play with. So anything that I cut off could be used for embellishments and ruffles. So yeah, I think that the file folder is about here, like this. So yeah, so that's what we've got. So from there, I worked backwards with the idea that I had two grey leg warmers and two like black and dark grey, but they still got, snowflakes in the Fair Isle print on them. So they're still, sorry about that. My husband was taping up his packages next door, and it was, it was really distracting me because it was so loud. Yeah, so I worked backwards from the idea that I had two different colours of leg warmers. So for me, they became two different projects, especially as I don't want to make four of the exact same thing, but I don't mind making two of each. So yeah, that's where I sort of went with my thinking. So what I ended up with is the idea that the black and dark grey leg warmers, to me, felt more cosy. They both feel cosy, but this one more so. And I wanted this one to be more of a traditional winter in terms of the colours that you get at winter. So reds and the greens, maybe a bit of the grey, definitely some gold, that sort of idea. Now, I don't want them to be Christmas themed because I don't want the pressure of having to complete them by Christmas. They are winter projects. But this one is sort of like traditional winter botanical type of colours, and it will make more sense once I actually start showing you the papers. And then for the grey, this one felt a little bit cooler, still cosy, but a little bit cooler. And so with that, I started thinking of the idea of pink winter or a pastel winter. And so this is the black ones are the feelings that you get when you're, sitting in front of the fire toasting marshmallows, the Christmas lights are on the tree, that type of a thing. And this is the one where when you leave the house, you get that frostiness. You're wrapped up warm in your scarves and your woolly hats and all of that, but it's frosty out. And there are snowy animals and there's snow and there's frost and all of that. So yeah, that's sort of the two different sides of winter for me, for this project. So just have that in your head whilst we look at the papers. I always like in my intro videos to really give you a sense of exactly what I'm thinking with a project, because for me this stuff is like telling a story, and being a writer for my day job, it's incredibly important to me that everything has a story, really just from a creative perspective. I love it. So yeah, that's what we sort of like started with. So I will show you the papers now. I will come back to this in a second. So if we start with the Cosy Winter, so that is the more traditional colours. I'll show you those first, because I imagine that will be the one that I start first, simply because, well, not really any reason. I suppose because it's got the red and the green, maybe it's a bit more Christmassy than the other, but not Christmas, just winter. But yeah, anyway, we'll start in with that one first. So the first thing is that I have a kit here from Liana Scrap. I think it's called A Christmas Story. And part of the reason why I got thinking about the colours of the project is because of this kit. So it's a beautiful kit. I will link it down below if you've not come across it before. And basically I've split it in half. Half of it is the coziness and half of it is the pink pastel frostiness that I'm trying to achieve with this project. So these are the papers that I'll be using for the cozy, warm cozy. So where you can see, you know, we've got some of the grey, but we've got lots of like red poinsettias, you know, the warm mulled wine type drinks and the biscuits and the warmth and the sitting in front of the fire and all of that, whilst very much being winter with the snow and the berries and everything. So you'll see what I mean when we look through the papers. This page is a little bit Christmassy, of course, which I don't mind, but you know, I might fussy cut out the poinsettia and stuff, and I really like the background. So yeah, it's not Christmas, it's winter. But there are like elements of it, you know, the candy cane and the presents and the dried fruits and the poinsettias. I don't mind it having a slight Christmas feel, but I want it to be more, this is what you get from a cozy winter kind of thing. It's just where my brain goes, to be honest. There's some more of the poinsettia and holly. Yep, that's the last page. As I say, I have split the kit in half. So that is that one. And this is the main paper pad that I'm going to be using for the project. It's by Hunky Dory and it's called A Festive Family Christmas. Now it's only an 8x8 because I'm going to be using this for the ephemera. When it comes to making the file folders, I want the backgrounds to be less busy, a little bit more in the background so that the ephemera has the chance to lift off the page. So I imagine the backgrounds of the altered file folders being either book page or music sheets or just like a creamy kind of a tone that sort of blends into the background. Anyway, so this is the paper pad. Now the only downside with it is a card making paper pad, which I don't mind, but it does have glossy pages. So it's not going to be good for everything, but I will be able to use it in a lot of the ephemera that I have planned, and I'll talk about that shortly. So, you know, you've got some elements there and they're double-sided. And as I say, it is a card maker's paper pad, but you get 4 of each design. And it was just bringing in the vibe that I wanted for the project. You know, we've got the woodland animals, the, you know, wintry animals, but it's very much, you know, the greens and the reds coming through. A little bit of the grey as well. So I'm happy with the paper pad despite the glossiness. I don't mind it as such. It's not too bad. And actually it's quite thin paper. So it's yeah, I've started I started dipping into it already. It is thin paper, so in terms of bulk and everything, it won't be excessively bulky. So I'm actually okay with the glossiness in that respect. As I say, it was the closest that I could get for what I wanted without having to spend an absolute fortune on a paper pad. So I was pretty happy with this. I just got it off of eBay. And as I say, it was pretty much exactly what I wanted for what I was looking for. You know, you've got the pine cones and the red flowers and the snow and the greenery. I'm hoping you'll see what I mean when I describe the difference in the way that I've split the kit up and everything. So this one maybe less so, it's got a little bit more of the pink, but I can use that in the other one. but you know, yeah, the red and the green basically. Yep, that's the last one, so that's the back of that one. So that is the paper pad that I'm using for the Cosy Winter side of the project. So yeah, they're very much the reds and the greens, the golds, a little bit of grey type of a thing. And then for the other project, so I'm calling that, the other side I'm calling Pastel Winter, I think. I might change my mind, but at the moment I'm calling it Pastel Winter. And for that, sorry, I've got stuff falling all over the place. And for that, I'm thinking more of the pink, white, grey, silver. So you see how I'm going from the warmth of the winter period to the cold winter. That's kind of how I want it to be in my head. But the reason I'm going with the pinks is because I felt like it went really well with the grey, and it actually gives me a chance to use up a paper pad or half of a paper pad that I didn't use last year, and I'll show you that shortly in a minute. So this is still the same kit as the one I showed you before, still the Christmas Story kit from Liana Scrap, but this is the pink pastel type pages. And it still brings in some of the woodland nature type of theme, which is what I want for the project. But as you will see, it's got a much cooler vibe to it, if that makes sense. I'm hoping you can see that. Beautiful, beautiful pages. And that brings in some of the blue and grey. So that's the kit pages that I'll be using. And then this is the main pad that I'll be using for this side of the project. This is also by Hunky Dory. I bought them at the same time. This one is actually normal, what you would expect from scrapbook paper, which yeah, confused me rightly because they were from the same seller, the same brand, the same size. But you know, so this is this one, and as you can see, it brings in a lot of the pinks and the greys. So I'll just show you. I don't know if I'll use the butterflies. I think I draw the line at butterflies in the winter, but we'll see. But you know, we get the pink and the grey. That lovely deer. And I might use this in the other side of the project, but for the most part, this is the main paper pad that I'm using for this side. That fox, isn't he cute? But you can see it's got a much cooler tone to it, whilst still being wintry. Sorry, I've kind of dipped into it, so I should have organised myself before coming on. But as per usual, I'm far too excited by things, and I just need to like show you, show you immediately. So you can definitely sense the difference in feeling between the papers in terms of the warmth versus the much cooler tones. I think that's also why I wanted to do it in the order that I'm doing it in, which is the warmth of Christmas, early winter comes first, doesn't it? And then once you get into like January time, that's when maybe it becomes cooler and fresher in the air and less warmth because, you know, the lights from the tree have come down and what have you. So that's kind of how I saw the project being. What's that one? So that's the main paper pad, and then as I said, I do have a half of a paper pad, a 12 by 12, which I didn't get to use last year. So when I was doing my Shades of Winter journal, if you remember the one that I made from Sweet Wrappers, yes, that happened. If you missed it, it's there's plenty of videos there somewhere. Anyway, I was using this paper pad from, I think the brand is Fabrica Creative, possibly. I think they might be Balkan or something. I'm not entirely sure. But basically the paper pad was some blue, some pink and some grey. So I used 4 shades of winter. It was very much the blues of winter. This year I'm doing the pink, the pink side. So that's, you know, just some scraps that I've got. Yeah, this is some of the paper. Again, that's a scrap, just bringing in the pink. We've got pink and grey poinsettia, so as you can see, it goes perfectly. And then if I want to use the grey, like, enchanted side, then I can do that. There's some grey and some reindeer grey. So I'm really glad that I've decided to do the pink, because it allows me then, oh, this is a different paper, but this is just for the grey. It allows me then to use the leftover sheets that I wasn't going to use because they didn't go with my Shades of Winter project, but they do go with this one. So yeah, as you can see, I'm really happy that I've been able to, you know, these are not going to waste. I'm going to use them this year. So those are the papers, and that's kind of the feel of what I want for the project. Now in terms of ephemera, I do have a little bit to say about that. So I have started making some of the ephemera already. There is more than this, but I just didn't want to get everything out. The reason for it is because you might recognise some of these as being Tina's mass makes, Tina from Shabby Dabby Doodah. So I've been doing the mass make challenge on video with you, but in a secret garden theme. Off screen, I've been doing them in my cozy Christmas pastel winter themes. So I didn't feel the need to video this side because you're already seeing me make the pieces in the secret garden project. I didn't want it to be too samey. So instead, while you won't have seen these pieces of ephemera, me making them, you will see me make some different ephemera, some unique ephemera for the file folders that I'm going to do. So that's just something to, you know, for me to say. But I wanted to show you the difference between the two projects. So this is the, you know, what I consider to be the Cosy Winter versus the Pastel Winter. So you can see the difference between the two, while still bringing in some of the same sort of colours, some of the same greys and things. So these two are pastel, and these two are go with this because they're still grey, but yeah, that's how I'm seeing it, and I hope that makes sense. I hope I've explained myself correctly. Sometimes it's difficult for me to actually put into words what on earth I was thinking, but yeah, I just thought I would share that because it's yeah, I just feel like it's it helps to set the two projects aside, if that makes sense. So yeah, I've talked to you about the papers, I've talked to you about my cover idea and how we're doing the ephemera. So yeah, so in terms of what to expect next then, I'm just going to bring this in so you have something pretty to look at. We're going to do some ephemera together. So as I say, I've already started making some ephemera, but we're going to make some pieces together. So I will kick off with those videos soon. And then of course we're actually going to build the file folders together. I'm trying to decide whether to build just one on video and 3 off screen, or one of each. I have a feeling I'm leaning towards the idea that I'm going to build one of each. Even though they might have similar ephemera, the vibe of them is quite different, so I feel like I think it would be okay to make one of each on video with you. And there might be some, you know, some small changes between the two. So I think that's what I'm going to end up doing, but we'll stick with the ephemera first. I'm sure all will become clear once we actually start working on the projects. But I just like to do these intro videos before starting off so that all the information is out there. I don't need to say any of this again. And it just gives you a good idea of where my brain went, if that makes sense. You know, I started with the leg warmers and I just worked backwards from there as to what the project was going to be. So I hope that was a useful insight into how all of that looks. And that's all I have to say. Anyway, so I will leave it there. And I will catch you on the next video. If we're ready to kick off, then I suspect the first ephemera video will be out later today. If not, sometime this week. So yeah, that's all. So thank you very much for joining me. I hope that was interesting to see, you know, where my thoughts had gone. And I hope you enjoy my little winter series that I'm doing. So yeah, Cosy Winter first, the warmth, and then we'll follow into the pastel winter and the cool and the cold. So yeah, I hope you enjoy, and I hope to see you on the next video. Bye bye for now.